Hi, in this video I will show you how to put together this Frankie Treat Box, which is an SVG file from Simply Crafty SVGs. So these are the pieces of the Frankie Treat Box, and there's a couple little, like the bolts and the ear pieces are in this little embellishment bowl, which is a freebie from our website, one of the many. So we just keep them in there so we don't lose them. The way it's going to go together, well, first of all, this is what it looks like when it's done. It's little Frankie, and there's also Frankie's Bride. It's a different file and a different video that you can get. It's like that. And then I usually put little eye accents in there, but it's just a small little treat box. So that's what we're going to make. So here are the pieces for the face. This is for the back of the head. And then these are the panels for the treat box on the side there. And they're longer going up. So this is pre-folded, so let's go ahead and fold this. Goes nice and crisp. I'm using American Crafts, this is black American Craft textured cardstock. And if we go ahead and just fold those in, like that. So the nice part is both the front and back are the same shape. So it doesn't matter which one you put on which way. So you can just start on one side. So let's go ahead and do the back first. So the back, we have this big piece right here. So you want to go ahead and get that. So we're going to do it on flat so it's easier. So this goes up. It'll angle up like that, so you want it to have the little rounded part on the bottom there. So that's the back one. The front one has two different pieces for each side, so it bolts on each side because of the way that it's built. Oops. Fortunately, we're going to have a panel there, so we'll be fine. We're going to move this face pieces off to the side. And then we'll put the panels, the side panels, and this back piece on. It's rather simple. It's a nice little box for treats, for a party or something like that. It's decoration, and put a couple like little treats in there. Then we're going to go ahead and put these on. So these only go, they're longer going up, so it'll only fit one way to give you the border that it needs to be. Wow, what was that word? So these are really teeny spiders. So it's the same one, same panels I used on the Frankie Bride's treat box. So I'm just making sure I have it the correct way and just center it. Just something to put on the sides, and it's also something to use either your pattern paper or you could also put solid cardstock with embossing folders. That would be fun. And then we'll go like this and put that on. So let's go ahead. And you see I already inked the edges of this to make it a little bit darker. And the reason for that, so I'm just going to make sure I line it up with the top here, just lightly. And the reason I did that was to hide the green a little bit, so it wasn't as noticeable on the edge, but you could always ink it afterwards too, with using a marker or your ink pads. And I'll show you on the front what I'm using to ink. I'm using Distress Oxides with like a makeup brush, which is, I forget what they call them. They call them like a ink blending brush. That's what you can look it up by. I'll show you the one I'm using, which is not a name brand. It's something I got off Amazon. So just lining that up. So that's the back. But folding it's going to be your saving grace before. It'd just be easier to fold before, but that's up to you. So for this one, let me put that aside. The face, we can put part of it together by itself here. I won't put the hair on until last because I put little foam dots to make it pop up like that. So we'll put that on last. But because I'm going to pop this up, that green's going to be noticeable. So what you might want to do is ink it a little bit more with the, if you have ink. You can really use any kind of ink, just so you know. I'm just using Distress Oxide because it blends really well. Let me just bring that into view. And this is one of those, they call makeup brushes too. But I have a set with a bunch of colors. So I just basically do this. And the reason I'm making it darker now is because I'm going to pop up that hair. So it's going to be visible. Popped up. So you can go as dark as you want, as light as you want. That's what you can see. There's like a little shadow around it. And there's other technique. There's people that do this way better than me. Jennifer McGuire's one. Tim Holtz. A lot of the people that I learned from. But the reason I'm doing that is now when I put that on, it's not as noticeable, if you can see. That green is not as noticeable. You're probably just seeing the white. But you can see that green top, it just kind of makes it darker. So good. I like this effect, and you can make it depending on what you're doing. But for Halloween, it's kind of really cool when you put like a little smoky effect on everything anyway. So that's how I do that. So when I put it on, it's not going to be as noticeable. And here's the difference too. I didn't ink this before, and you kind of can see, because I popped that one up, you can see the green a little bit better. So if you plan ahead, you can make sure that you get that the way you want it to look. It's just a minor thing, but it's just like the details that make a difference. So now I'm going to come back with these 3 pieces. So the way this is going to fit is like this. This is going to, you want to get this shape to line up with the shape on the front. And you'll see it's slightly smaller than, so it won't show up on the sides. But if you were concerned about it, you could also ink the edges of this a little bit. That's up to you. So the way we're going to do this is this has to line, this is upside down, and this is upside down. Oops, let me go up a little bit. So we're going to add glue to the front of this in the places that you won't see it. So we're going to go around the edges. Try not to get anywhere the teeth or anywhere in that opening, near that opening. And just do dot on the nose so it glues. Stay away from the eyes actually. Just go above on the corners. So now we're just going to line it up. So it might be easier if this is up. And now we're just going to go ahead and line up the corner of this mouth here. See, when I just casually showed you, of course it was easier. So what that'll do is this. Now you'll see it through. So if you do get a little bit of white and you don't like that, you can always go ahead and just ink it real quick. So let's see if I can just take the rest of what's on here. So just, and you could darken it a little bit. So it's up to you what you want to do with that. So just try to line it up best you can. So in the file too, if for some reason you want to use a different color box, you can go ahead and go to the extra stuff folder, and there's a black panel just shaped like the head. So if you wanted to use a white, or a green, let's say a green box, the actual box structure, you could always have the background. So it's not going to make a difference on the back because we have that big green panel, but it would on the front. So I was trying to minimize how much you cut out for the average, but for people that want more flexibility with the file, then that's available. So before we can put this on, we have to put the bolts and the ears. So you just need to make sure, I'm using textured cardstock, so I'm going to find which ear is which. Make sure I do the correct one. That's not it. Oops. Making sure the textured side's up. So the left one's a little bit bigger than the right one. So the reason I did this is to minimize how much paper you had to cut out. And then we'll put this other ear. So just line it up. And then we have these two pieces. Just make sure that they're kind of angled down. So the reason these aren't solid is because it would go through a piece that shows black. And then we'll go ahead and put this on top, and we'll cover, should cover the ear pieces here, like that. And then we only have the little brow, which I could have put on already. So I'm just putting glue around the edges here and trying not to get too close to an opening. Then we're just going to go ahead and line it up on the top. I'm going to make sure this textured. I'm just going to line it up like that. You can go higher or lower, but I like to go right over the eyes. And center it so that you can center that little peak in the middle there. And then we'll go ahead and pull off the backing of this foam tape. I do prefer Scotch, but I'm using a version from Dollar Tree that I wanted to give a try. I have a ton of it, so I try things and I don't like to either give them away or throw them, or I don't throw them away. I always give them away or put them in a place to give away or use them. But I like to try all different kinds, so it gives it kind of that dimension. And the last thing we need to do is just glue these on the inside. So I would do the front first, and we're going to line that up. So you see that, I know it's kind of going out of focus. Let me get that out of the way. Sorry about that. But this is just going to line up to the edge there and here. So I'm going to do those first two. So the front, so we can do them one at a time. Kind of push them in as you're positioning them, and then lining them up to this edge, and you can start seeing how it lines up down here. Let's see if we can get this back in. Sorry about that, I went out of focus. Little things like this will cause the issue. And then we'll get this in there. So make sure you fold it in so you don't get visible glue like that. Just line it up. And even if it's a little bit off, it's not a big deal. And you can just flip it upside down, add pressure. And I'm going to do the same with the last two here. And this will finish the box off. I'm just kind of placing them first. And then I can flip it upside down and apply pressure. So that's it. It's kind of the front and back of Frankie. If you get a little excess glue like I did, I'm just getting a wet cloth to wipe it off here. Pretty simple treat box. And there it is. So if you liked it, please give me a little like below. And there they are, the pair of them together. So how fun would that be on a Halloween table? Well, thank you for watching, and until next time.